Today, we're going to break down the case of Chandan Pasi versus the state of Bihar. Let's get right into it and explain this important case in some really simple terms.
So let's start with the story. What actually happened here? Well, this whole case begins with a violent crime, but you'll see it ends up being about something much more fundamental, the fairness of the trial itself.
All right, so let's walk through the timeline. The incident itself happened way back on March 31, 2016. A man named Chandan Pasi was assaulted, and he died. About a year later, the trial court finds 6 people guilty and gives them a life sentence. They appealed to the Patna High Court, but the High Court agreed with the conviction. And that's how, eventually, the appeal from 3 of the convicts made its way all the way to the Supreme Court.
Now this is where things get interesting. By the time this case reached the Supreme Court, the main argument wasn't really about who did what. Now, it was about a really crucial question of legal procedure.
So the big question, the heart of the matter, wasn't about guilt or innocence anymore. It boiled down to this. During the trial, did the accused actually get a fair shot to explain every single piece of evidence that was brought up against them? And that question brings us to a very important law, Section 313 of the Code of Criminal Procedure, or CrPC. You see, this section is a big deal. It says that the judge must talk directly to the accused person. It's mandatory. The judge has to lay out the evidence against them and ask for their personal explanation. This isn't just some formality, it's a direct conversation that's a key part of justice.
Okay, so keeping that crucial right in mind, what did the Supreme Court do? Let's take a look at their final decision. The Supreme Court said yes. The appeals are allowed. They completely set aside the conviction and a life sentence. But, and this is super important, they didn't just let them walk free. Instead, they sent the case right back to where it started, to the trial court. And they gave a very specific instruction. You have to restart the trial from that exact point, the questioning under Section 313.
So why would the Supreme Court do that? Why send it all the way back? Well, their reasoning really gets to the core of what we mean when we say a fair trial. Let's dig into it.
The court was not happy, and they didn't hold back. Just listen to their words. They called what the trial court did a sorry state of affairs and an abject failure. I mean, that's incredibly strong language. It just goes to show you how serious this procedural error was in the eyes of the highest court.
And this right here shows you exactly what went wrong. Look at the difference. The trial court basically just asked one big messy question, lumping everything together. Hey, people say you did this. What's your story? But that's not how it's supposed to work. The law demands that you break it down piece by piece. The judge should have asked, okay, witness A says you had a kata. Explain that. Then a separate question. Witness B says they saw you assault the victim. Explain that. You see? Every detail gets its own moment.
Here's a simple way to think about it. Imagine a teacher thinks a student cheated on a test. Fair play isn't just asking, did you cheat, right? No. A fair teacher would say, look, your answers are exactly the same as this other paper. Can you please explain how that happened? That's what Section 313 is all about. It's the court showing the evidence and giving the accused a real chance to explain their side for each specific point.
So, if we had to boil this entire judgment down to one single powerful idea, what would it be?
Here it is. This is the absolute core of the decision. That conversation with the accused under Section 313, it is not just a box to be ticked on a checklist. It's one of the fundamental pillars holding up the entire idea of a fair trial. If that pillar is weak, the whole structure can come crashing down.
All right, so for all the students watching, what is the one thing you absolutely must remember from this case?
Here's your key takeaway, and it's simple but so important. Every single piece of evidence that points towards guilt has to be put to the accused, not all at once, but separately and specifically. This gives them a meaningful, real opportunity to explain, and as this case shows, if a court messes this up, it can completely destroy the entire trial.